Hi, everyone. You're listening to Live with Necee. I am your host, Opal Bailey, and I have with me a wonderful guy, Randy Crain. Hey, Randy.
Hi, Opal.
How you
Great to
doing?
be here.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad you're here. Randy's going to talk to us about his journey as a caregiver as well as all the other good stuff that's going on in his life. So, Randy, how did you become a caregiver?
Well, it's been an exciting but long journey. My wife and I guess about 5 years ago, we bought a house and was really excited about that. And my parents moved in with us, and they were kind of getting a little older in health and needing some extra care. And so we were there to kind of take care of them. And I've had just a wonderful life with them, being able to just have fun. And my dad retired at 65, and virtually most of their life we were able to spend time and just do fun things. But when they moved in with us, their health was obviously a challenge, both of them. And so we took care of them, and my wife was working at the time. I have had my own business for quite a while, but we took care of them. And it got to a point, though, where their health became more of an issue, and that led into really them needing more full-time care. And so we began to go through a process of giving them full-time care, and it's not that easy because when your loved one needs that care, it limits what you can do. It limits your options. And so we went through a long journey with them through that, but came out on the other side, and everything was well. But so we know what it's like to help family members or loved ones that need that care and need someone there with them.
Mm-hmm. How did you both handle the transition from being, the husband and wife, now husband and wife, caregivers of your family? How were y'all able to handle the transition together and taking care of your parents?
Lots of prayer. Lots of prayer and chocolate.
Hey, that'll work.
Well, my wife probably had a little bit of a harder time dealing with this because it wasn't her parents. And so being able to take care of them on a full-time basis was probably more challenging with her because, when you have a loved one that's their health is failing, you have to do everything for them. And so I really tried to do as much as I could for them, but she really kind of stepped up, and she was there, to help with that as well. But it really, as far as the transition, it was a strain. It was a strain on our marriage, on our relationships. It begins to limit what you're able to do with friends, and it really is something that it's not easy to go through. I was fortunate to have a business that at that time gave me some freedom and flexibility to be able to be there more, which it really made a big difference. But, we were also hooked into a church that really was there to kind of help us, and that transition, as we started to go through that, there was more and more opportunity for them to reach out and to help us and to see if there was anything we needed or what have you. And so having that community of believers and people, within that church body really made a big difference for us at that point.
Mm-hmm. I know that sometimes, as people, we tend to not want to ask for help.
Yeah.
So was it difficult for you guys to ask for help during that time, or the help just was there for you?
The help just came because we had some very close relationships, and out of those relationships, it really kind of blossomed to be able to help us. But along that process, through that process, hospice came in and began to help us with the more, 24-hour care and stuff that we needed. So that was a huge help. But just having those folks who were connected with us and say, hey, is there anything I could do? anything I can pray for, what do you need? Just being there was a tremendous help. So that spiritual aspect was awesome. Awesome.
So with the hospice being there, did that kind of help you and your wife to be able to have some time together, or did your time continue to stay focused on what's
that's a
going
great
on?
question. We had some strain, but because oftentimes they would come at night to be able to take care of them, but we still had the strain on our relationship because you got to be aware really all the time of what's going on, and so it's not an easy process to go through, but we have, my wife and I had we've got a strong relationship, and so we just pulled together and made it happen. You don't really have a choice. It's just you do it, and then but as you're going through, you're kind of helping each other and doing whatever you can to make that. I don't know if that answered your question, but
I think you mentioned an important part is that you said you pull together, and sometimes when a couple has to caregive for either one or the other parents or both parents, they tend to allow the stress of the situation to pull them apart. So what, in the stressful situations that y'all had, I'm sure y'all had some, what was the most challenging one that y'all had to overcome?
Wow. I think the overcoming several things. Overcoming the independence that because my parents, my dad got ill first, and then he still wanted to, be active, but he was kind of coming to the point where he couldn't be as active, and eventually became bedridden. And so going through that transition of having him from being mobile to immobile, and then eventually going to be with the Lord, that was a hard thing because we had to be right there, and he would try to get up at night, and there was a couple of nights that he fell, and so we had to always be aware. We put baby monitors in the rooms to kind of have that audio, but it's not easy going through that, and so I think the transition from them losing their independence to lack of mobility, I think, is a huge thing, not only for them but also for us, because we are trying to deal with this emotionally, and how do we keep them together? How do we keep them from breaking down even further? But we also were in contact with our siblings and our family to let them know what was going on, and so it's just a very emotional and emotionally draining time, because it's you've got your family, and my siblings didn't live with or around us, so it was really a challenge. But I think through that was one of the challenges, and then keeping in contact with the family, letting them know what's going on, and communicating to them, and especially as the time kind of started drawing nearer for them to go to be with the Lord, that was a really dramatic time, because there's all kinds of emotions going, as well as actually the care for them, as well as the hospice care that came in. And so we, without the hospice care, I'm not sure how we would have really been able to do that and provide for them. Mm-hmm. It really made a big difference.
Well, so, when I'm listening to a lot of caregivers, they say that it was as if their doors of their home are just wide open, and people in and out and in and out. And so did you ever feel like you've lost your home, or you were just left there to...
Yeah, sure, because you have people coming and going and taking care of your loved ones, and it was it's. But I mean, we were open to whatever had to be done. So you just just do it, But yeah, you kind of feel like you've lost your home to, whatever's going on, and there's not as much free time, and you have to really fight for that, time together, or that time to be able to have, just quiet time or whatever. It's not easy.
Yeah,
Especially
sure.
if you're working. If you have jobs where you have to work too, plus come home and take care of loved ones, it's very straining. Not only on a marriage, but with everything else. So, yeah.
So how do y'all really handle doing that when you had to go to work and come home and have time for Renee and Renee have time for you?
Well, that we really, it changed the dynamic, I think, of our home life, because she was going to and from work, but because of my business situation, I didn't have to do that, so I could be there more. And so whenever she would come home, then she would do what she could, and whether it was meals or whether it was getting them up and doing whatever she had to do. But the when for at least in my situation, for a business owner that had the time to be able to do that, it made things a lot easier for me. But yeah, it's just you just work it out. It's but for those who have a job and they have to come and go, and they have to take care of those loved ones, you have to almost find some other people to help you to take care of things, and that's really where you find out who your true friends are, and who's there's a lot of people. We have a Facebook full of friends, but try to 2:00 in the morning, try to say I'm stuck on the side of the road, and you'll see really who your friends are.
Very limited.
I like this, but when the rubber meets the road, you really find out who is committed and who's there to help you. But it was pretty challenging for probably a couple years. We went through that.
So what are some of the things that you and Renee had done to kind of keep the spark, keep the fire, keep the love and the teamwork together? I mean, as far as like activities, did you read to each other? What are some of the things that y'all done to?
Well, our faith really played a big part in that, because we knew that God was in control, and we knew that when our parents, left this earth, that they were going to be with Him and spend eternity with Him. So that was comforting. But we enjoy reading, and we enjoy taking walks together, and we lived in an area where it was right on a canal, but you could watch the moon come up in the evening, and so we had a nice porch, so we could just kind of enjoy spending time together there, and it was close enough. I mean, my parents had their own bedroom, and we called it a kind of a master suite, so we were right there if we heard something or they needed something. But it's important to take that time to be together and to do things together, whether it's reading together or taking a walk, or having someone. As my parents started getting more ill and needing more help, it was great to have our other siblings that could come in and help, or hospice care, so that we could go out. Maybe we could go out and have a meal together, or go out and if we had to do some shopping or whatever, that had to be planned. So as that kind of grows worse, if I can use that word, that you have to be intentional about that time, and you can't feel guilty if you have people come in and taking care of your family while you go out and do something for yourselves, because you need that time together. And so that was another hard thing. The transition in them losing their mobility and their independence, and then having that time to be able to go out and to do something, together, still as a couple, or married couple, that's tough. So for those who are